With the third pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Jeremiyah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
With the 32nd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jadarian Price, Notre Dame, running back.
Oh, there we go. Vince is cheering in the background. Big night for Notre Dame last night. I'm Sean Steiners along with Vince Jadarian. Big night as both Notre Dame running backs go in the first round. Jeremiyah Love, number 3 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. Jadarian Price followed about 3 hours or so later, going to the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. From a Notre Dame perspective, Vince, I don't think anyone could have scripted it up, any better, really.
Well, that was best case scenario, right, for Notre Dame specifically. I mean, there was nobody else that was going to sneak into the first round, and I think everybody pretty much understood that was going to be the case. And if they did, it was going to be Jadarian Price, and he did, and it was exciting. I don't want to say I was tuned out by the end, but it was 3 hours, and
I mean,
that
literally
kid woke me up.
The only reason I stayed up was to see if Jadarian
for sure
go, by the end of the first round.
The kid who announced the Seahawks pick was, screaming into the microphone.
He was fired up. And look, nothing against him. He was a Make-A-Wish kid. I think said he had like a couple of, what was it, brain tumors?
I think so, yeah.
He had, which is, very cool for him.
Of course.
To get to do it. So this is nothing against him. But I said this going into last night. My pet peeve about the first round, you're a first-round draft pick. I would prefer all the special, because they did have a couple other, people standing in, making the picks and stuff like that. I just feel like if you're a first-round draft pick in the NFL, the commissioner should announce your pick for posterity's sake. For years later, you've always got that with the NFL commissioner announcing your pick. Save everybody else. Start them in the second round tonight. That's just my personal feeling. Again, nothing against, because I said this last night. Nothing against that kid. It was a great moment for him and a great moment for that the family, the New York Giants family. Those are the two that I remember the most. The husband / father was killed in action, and they got
I missed that one.
It was like 2 sons and the wife, got to their mom, the wife of the deceased, got to make the picks last night. So very cool moment for them, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of pomp and circumstance, and we'll get into this a little bit later. I've got a lot to say on.
Oh, do you?
That? Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We've got plenty of time to say. Well, I don't know if we have plenty of time.
Well,
we've got NFL draft talk. We've got blue gold talk. The game is coming up tomorrow. And by the way, it's funny because the people here at the station have been telling me, just wait until 5:00 Friday. That's when we're going to find out what channel we're on Sirius XM. And we did get the announcement today. Channels 381 and 971. The Blue Gold broadcast tomorrow, radio broadcast, will be on those channels, 381 and 971. Nobody's going to remember, but I said it anyway.
Why 2 different channels?
Vince, come on. You're not allowed to ask those kind of questions.
I don't know anything about Sirius satellite radio because my car doesn't have such amenities, so I didn't know how that worked. But okay, cool. We're on 2 stations.
Yeah,
Awesome.
As well as Sunny 101.5 FM here in town, Sunny1015.com, and the Sunny 101.5 app. I know it's a lot of numbers to remember.
It is, but it's still going to be exciting. You can find it if you want it. You can find it, and it was official today. We got the note. We got the notes, from Notre Dame, and it said right on there, radio. And even though they spelled my name wrong, it's whatever. But we were all on there, so it's ready to go.
They missed the second capital D. I noticed that as well.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Your name is there. At least
it's there.
The spelling's actually right. They just had a wrong capital lowercase letter instead of a capital letter. So you can't have everything.
I know. That's why we can't have nice things.
Can't have everything. But Vince, Jesse, and I will be there at tomorrow. Brian Driscoll is going to stop in at halftime as well. I don't think we're technically allowed to discuss the whole format on the air. I did get some details on kind of like how things are going to be set up and stuff like that. We do know the scoring system, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But Let's just go right into it. Jeremiah Love gets picked 3rd overall by Arizona. Again, I was expecting Arizona to trade that pick. Apparently, they did field several offers, but none of them met exactly what they were looking for. Some people do have, I think, exceptions with taking a running back that high. Not just taking Love / the running back position that high, but specifically with Arizona because they have so many needs. I think that's where most people disagreed with Arizona. But like I saw Orlovsky talking about it today. Why wouldn't you just go with the best available player? You've got to build everything anyway. If they didn't, feel like they wanted some of those other guys at that spot, take the best player and continue to build out from there.
No, completely agree. And, Jeremiah Love was, yes, he wasn't going to go number 1, but there's a lot of people out there that thought he was the best player in the draft. It's just he wasn't a quarterback, and so he wasn't going to go to the Raiders. And, of course, the Raiders have Ashton Genty, and it would not make sense for them to take Jeremiah Love. But I just think that I agree with you completely. Like, you take the best player available. Like, when you have so many needs, like the Arizona Cardinals have so many needs. Like they need a quarterback. They need offensive line. They have so many needs. Why would you not take a potentially generational running back if you have the opportunity to do so? I saw on NFL Network as well today that since 2015, I think there was like 10 running backs that have been taken in the top 12, and all of them have been really, really good. Like every single one of them have been really, really good. And some go to terrible teams, and their winning percentage isn't great, but they're still really, really good. And I think you're almost guaranteed that Jeremiah Love is going to be really, really good. So you take a chance and you draft him where they did, and you hope that he doesn't get killed. Like that's the best, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I do think that's where you're at. You do hope he doesn't get killed. That's small wish. Don't die.
Don't die on us. I don't know what the offensive line is going to look like once they get to game number 1. But that's the thing that also makes him special, of course. You can do a lot of other things with Jeremiah Love.
And from a team standpoint, obviously, Jadarian Price is in the better position than Jeremiah Love because he's going to the team that just lost the Super Bowl MVP to free agency. And he plugs right into a Super Bowl champion there at number 32. Arizona's on the other end of that spectrum, obviously. But that's how the NFL works. Obviously, the worst teams get rewarded in the draft, and you try to build out. But who knows? Like within a couple of years, maybe the Arizona Cardinals are legitimate contenders, and Jeremiah Love is a big reason why. So
if they are, he will be.
Yeah,
I'm very convinced of that.
Things can swing fast.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. You're a really good player. You go at the top of the draft. You're going to go to a crappy team unless a really good team trades up to get him. I'm curious, and I don't know if it'll ever come out. I'm curious to see what teams were trying to get into that number 3 spot to take Jeremiah Love, and I'm sure he's curious as well to see where he could have ended up. But could he have ended up on a contender? I don't know, but you're in Arizona. There are worse places to live than Arizona. I can tell you that. So that's not all that bad. I enjoyed my time down there at the Fiesta Bowl.
I bet you did.
Yeah, man.
It's the first time in the common draft era, the same 2 running backs, the first 2 running backs rather, from the same school. I'm saying this wrong. The first time in the draft era that the first 2 running backs off the board came from the same school. There, I finally said it correctly. And of course, they both came from Notre Dame. No other running back selected in the first round last night. And 1993, also the last time Notre Dame had 2 running backs go in the same draft, not necessarily the first round, but the same draft. Jerome Bettis and Reggie Brooks. That's pretty good company for Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price to be in.
And I think it's only 3 times have 2 running backs from the same school gone in the first round. But all of those other times there was
This is the 6th time.
Was it 6? Okay. But all of those other times there was another running back in between, but this is the first time it's the top 2. So they're making history, man. And I'll tell you what, the Seahawks have got to be just ecstatic right about now because
Absolutely.
they got Jadarian Price, who somebody in the chat said that they think his body is maybe built more for the rigor of the NFL, which I'm not going to debate that because I pretty much agree with it. But I mean, he's a plug and play, and he's got 0 career starts. Like he has never started a game.
41 games at Notre Dame, never started a game at college, and he's drafted in the first round.
Right. So much tread left on those tires, man.
Uh-huh.
Like they've got to be just absolutely ecstatic because they were going to have to pay the Super Bowl MVP and Kenneth Walker III. And so they let him go, obviously. And I'm sorry, this is a plug and play situation. Like Kenneth Walker III is really good.
Yeah.
And he had a really good Super Bowl. Jadarian Price can do everything that Kenneth Walker.
He's built to just jump right in. Yeah, he
Yeah.
absolutely can do everything that Kenneth Walker can do. And we'll hear some of the ESPN analysis from after the draft last night, but it's a great situation. They've got a much better offensive line, a much better team overall, obviously, than what Arizona has, again, because they just won the Super Bowl. So you're right, definite plug and play. Last time, 2 guys from the same team went in the first round, Darren McFadden, Felix Jones in 2008 from Arkansas, Ronnie Brown and Carnell Cadillac Williams in 2005 from Auburn. Man, it's already been 21 years.
That's crazy.
But so this is just the 6th time overall, 2 running backs from the same team went in the first round of the draft. Which draft broadcast did you watch last night?
So I was in the car on the way home from the Cubs game, and I throw on YouTube TV, and I just clicked the first one like at 8 o'clock that was there. And apparently that was the NFL Network. So I watched the first half hour on the NFL Network. And then when I got home, I believe I had the ABC/ESPN broadcast. I think it was the same. It was simulcast, wasn't it? ABC, ESPN.
Well, I don't know if it was simulcast because they had multiple options. Like there was the main ESPN option. The College Game Day crew was doing an option someplace. I have no idea.
That was ABC. That's what I was watching.
Okay. So you watched the Game Day.
Yeah.
version. Okay. And then there was an NFL Network version. I think there was one other, and then there was the Pat McAfee version, but I don't think that was on TV. I think it was only on YouTube. They've been for a couple of years now. So
gotcha.
I just watched the main one. I like to I like the Mel Kiper Jr. analysis. He's the GOAT. He's been doing it forever. So I like to hear what Mel has to say about these guys because he knows them inside and out. And I know that, I think obviously a lot of college fans are going to be tuned to the Game Day side of things because those are the guys that you're used to seeing, even though you complain about them most of the time, but it's the way it goes. But
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I enjoyed the fact that they cut the time between picks. They gave them 8 minutes on the clock. They cut it down from 10, and that draft was moving swiftly last night. I really liked it.
But it's like the broadcast partners didn't get the memo about the 8-minute thing because there were times where they were like 2 picks behind.
Well, this is why you can't have 6 guys sitting there you don't need all those guys.
And here's the other piece. Like all these things that you want these guys who are live at the draft to do, walk down the hall, look in the mirror, hold the jersey, take the pic. Like you don't have time for all that crap. And then they had them like signing stuff and like interviewing and you don't have time to do all of that now. You got to cut it down a little bit because there's only 8 minutes. Like they would make the announcement of a pick and then the next pick was in. Like this could have gone even faster, guys, if we weren't trying to, because like back in the day when it was 15 minutes, you had to have some filler. You had to have guys talking. You had to have, all of these different things, the bro hug with the commish and all that stuff. You don't need all that anymore because it's only 8 minutes now. So we got to roll, baby. Like, let's go. They could have been done in 2.5 hours easily.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, I don't know if they could have been done in 2.5 hours because they still give them 8 minutes. And, like you still have to allot for.
There were some that weren't taking the full 8. Like I saw a lot of pick was in.
No. But I mean, you're right. Like the TV people, probably worse on game day because there's even more people on that booth. And, like So just watch the amateurs on that. Like
Right.
the guys on the main ESPN feed, they weren't like 2 picks behind. They were at least staying on track, and I know a lot of people were complaining on Twitter about it. But again, like Kuiper and Greenberg, say a lot of things about Greenberg. He's not my favorite guy at everything, but he's a professional host. He knows how to manage a show, and he knows when it's time to cut, it's time to cut. And you got to go to the commissioner now, So like I felt like they stayed on track. How about I heard Bill Simmons talking about this, and I was noticing this last night as well. Roger Goodell's hugs, like it feels like they're lasting forever now.
Yeah, and they're still very violent. Like
Do the
they get in
hugs
there.
have to last that long?
Man, I don't know if he's like whispering stuff in their ears. Like, is he having a conversation with each one of these guys?
He's saying something to him. I'd like to have that mic'd up and hear exactly what that's. It feels to me like it's the only time that the player is ever actually going to enjoy being around the commissioner. So Goodell gets he milks it for all that he can,
You're like, hey man, congratulations. Hope we spelled your name right. Here we go. Smile for the camera, And I don't know if you noticed this, but like as the draft went on in the first round, and they were still doing the jersey and the commish and all those things, there were no names on the back of the jerseys. Like I think that I don't know what happened, but like the Bears pick, for example, his name wasn't on the back of that jersey.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if they just stopped doing it or they ran out of time or what, but it definitely, I mean, your first round pick is supposed to have the last name on the back. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I know. We'll get to the Cowboys stuff if we have time. I mean, obviously we're going to spend time talking about Love and Price. And I did want to play, let you hear since you were watching the other broadcast, you were watching Nick Saban and Kirk Herbstreit and all those different guys, Reese Davis, I guess. Here's the main ESPN feed, the reaction to the Cardinals, to Jeremiyah Love going to the Cardinals on the ESPN feed last night.
He did it. We had heard so much speculation over the last few weeks that this would be the selection. And there it is. What a special season Jeremiyah Love had for the Irish last year. Over 1,600 yards of total offense and a school record, 21 touchdowns, a unanimous All-American, third of the Heisman, the first Notre Dame player ever to win the Doak Walker Award as the top running back in the nation. And now, Mel, he is the third pick, Lewis, I should say, in the NFL draft.
Like every single offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, running back coach, head coach wants guys who can win games with one swing. Jeremiyah Love is that. He's more than a running back. I know people don't want to believe it, but he's more than a running back. He is a weapon. He is a guy who can create plus 20-yard explosives at the blink of an eye, and you see it right there. Just 2 years ago, we watched Saquon Barkley hoist the Philadelphia Eagles on his back with his ability to create explosives in the run game. That is what Arizona is after. This draft has got some pretty good offensive line depth. They're going to have to go to work, and look, they don't play football till September, but they better fix the offensive line. There's no question about that. But you cannot pass up guys like this. If you told the Arizona Cardinals, hey, we'll give you Christian McCaffrey, we'll give you Bijan Robinson, we'll give you Jahmyr Gibbs, do you think they wouldn't take them right now in the heartbeat? Those guys are difference makers. This kid fits right into that mold. I cannot wait to see him go ahead and infuse that organization with some juice, Mel, like you talked about. That's what he's going to bring.
He's fear factor all the way, and he's going to make defensive coordinators have some restless legs figuring out, okay, where's he going to be, in a backfield slot, or is he wide, kid doesn't fumble the football? What I want to see is, remember, Chargers got LaDainian Tomlinson, then Drew Brees. I'm not saying Ty Simpson's going to be Drew Brees, but do they pair Jeremiyah Love with Ty Simpson by trading him to the late first or taking him at pick number 34?
Obviously, things didn't quite work out with that Ty Simpson. That I think a lot of people thought that could happen, that Ty Simpson was going to go a lot farther. That obviously turned out being one of the surprises of the draft when the Rams grabbed him, and there's been, at least some backlash.
Surprised a lot of people, it sounded like.
I didn't realize Louis Riddick talked for quite as long as he did, but he went on and on. I mean, he was gushing about Jeremiyah Love, and he's right. I mean, we've all seen it. Jeremiyah Love is an offensive weapon, and you've still got to build the offensive line, just like Justin here is saying. Hope it doesn't turn like Genty to the Raiders. I mean, their offensive line not great either. That is going to be the question. And in the meantime, he goes in with Jacoby Brissett as his quarterback as of right now. We'll be curious to see if they draft a quarterback, somewhere along the way.
They're going to have to.
Maybe Carson Beck, or feels like You absolutely have to.
And I don't know. I mean, look, the quarterback situation in this draft isn't great. And honestly, I would probably go as much offensive line as I possibly could if I'm Arizona. And you know what? If call me crazy, and I'm not saying you throw this year away, but I am taking a quarterback later, and then I'm putting all my chips into the quarterback basket for next year. If I'm Arizona, like
I absolutely would consider just riding it out with Jacoby
Yeah.
Brissett this year if I don't like if I don't like Carson Beck or
right.
whoever else. And
There's a lot of options next year, man. I mean, you're gonna have
you're absolutely right. I mean,
Yeah.
like everyone's obviously expecting both Arch Manning and CJ Carr to be up there close to the top of the draft, So like,
and you're going to have Dante Moore, and
Yeah.
you're going to have Julian Sayin. Regardless of what you think about him, he's going to be up there. So I mean, you're going to have potentially 4 quarterbacks that could very easily go in the top 10, top 15 next year, and we'll see who jumps in or jumps out or whatever. But there's going to be a lot of quarterback talent, and if you're Arizona, look, you're not going to set the world on fire in year 1 of this rebuild. Get somebody that can just take the snaps and hand off and throw swing passes to Jeremiah Love and then figure out your quarterback situation next year.
Stymie says Cardinals have Gardner Minshew too.
Oh,
Yes,
well,
backing up Jacoby Brissett. You say like that, like that's some massive asset that they've got.
I mean, look, you can take a rookie quarterback at some point. I just wouldn't do it early. I would get other foundational positions that you can build on and that you want to have stick around for a few years. There's no quarterback left in this draft that I want to stick around in my organization. There's just not.
I agree.
So, yeah.
I agree. And again, this is it's going to be a multi-year rebuild. It's not like you were just going to draft Jeremiah Love and all of a sudden you're going to be a playoff contender, especially when you have the defending Super Bowl champs. You've got the Rams in there. Like all 3 of the other teams have been in the Super Bowl within the last 5-6 years now at this point. All the other 3 teams in the division. And now you've got Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Kyron Williams all in the NFC West going head-to-head against each other. And Price's new running backs coach, former NIU head coach, Northern Illinois head coach Thomas Hammock, who gave up his job as a college head coach to go be the running backs coach with the Seattle Seahawks this offseason.
That's a good point.
Think about that.
Forgot about that completely.
I know. So a couple questions. Craig and Tyler, thanks for that tiny little super chat, Tyler. But I see what you did there. You wanted to make sure that we were going to answer the question. Thoughts on the 2 picks? I could like the second one, Malachi Lawrence, the defensive end. I wasn't completely, it's like he wasn't completely on my radar there at number 23. But Caleb Downs at number 11 is an absolute steal for the Cowboys. And I know people were like, "Oh, you traded up 1 spot." Well, it's not like you're the Bears trading up 1 spot to get Mitch Trubisky and mortgaging your entire future for a quarterback who wasn't going to pan out. Like Caleb Downs might end up being the best of the 4 Ohio State players who went in the top 11 picks last night. And everyone today, from Nick Saban, Ryan Day, you expect Ryan Day to rave about him, but and all the draft, like everybody very high on Caleb Downs about his football IQ and obviously his playing ability and everything else. That was a massive need for the Cowboys, a horrendous secondary. They also had a massive pass rush need, so they went out and got Malachi Lawrence. And, again, he comes from Central Florida, so I didn't know a ton about him. But, like, you go and look at some of his ratings. He is rated something like number 15 among defensive end prospects, like, over the last 40 years or something like that, I think I saw. So, like, very good start for the Cowboys. And they gave up a couple 5th-round picks to trade up to that number 11 spot to get Caleb Downs. And then they traded down with the Eagles in that whole situation when they went up to get Mekhi Lemon, and they got a couple 4th-round picks in return, so they ended up getting higher picks out of it. So I really liked what they did, both from a player standpoint and getting picks that you can turn into guys who might actually be able to help you out a little, because they do have, like, kind of like the Cardinals we were talking, like they've got a lot of needs that they had to address. I love Downs. Like, I was hoping that somehow he was going to fall to them, because I thought that they were probably going to have to trade up into the top 7 or 8 to have a chance to get him, and they end up getting it at number 11. So I was ecstatic the way the Cowboys turned out last night.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't been paying close enough attention. But Ohio State, I mean, seeing just all these Ohio State guys just come off the board, like in the top 11, it was like, dang, man. That was impressive. And Ryan Day with his painted on beard was very happy.
Jesse was actually hoping that Dallas might end up, like going defensive end first, like trading up and trying to get somebody, and then maybe getting the guy that the Bears got, Dylan Tinneman, later in the draft. The Bears end up getting him at number 25 overall. He's a guy who played this past year for Oregon, started his career at Purdue the first couple of years. He faced Notre Dame. Basically, he was like the only good player on the field other than probably Spencer Porath a couple of years ago, when
right.
Notre Dame played Purdue. At Purdue, he's a Westfield High School guy just north of Indianapolis. Were you still awake when the Bears made their pick last night?
I was, yeah. I stayed up for the whole draft, believe it or not, and I was still pretty wired from the Cubs game. So I watched the whole thing, and I don't know if that'll happen tonight. We'll see. I think it starts. Does it start at 7 again, or not again? But does it start at 7?
It starts at 7 tonight instead of 8. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a chance. But no, I think that was a great pick. That's a value pick for the Bears, in my opinion. I mean, he is a very gritty player. I remember him playing for Purdue, obviously, because he was a bright spot. And when he went over to Oregon, I mean, he was one of their best defenders. And I just love how he comes downhill. He's not afraid to hit you. He's extreme. Like, his numbers at the combine were extremely impressive. I didn't realize that until they started rattling him off yesterday after he got drafted. I was like, oh crap, this guy's an athlete. Like, I guess I just didn't realize that,
Yeah.
He seemed like a overachieving, maybe slightly undersized kid that just gets after it, which even if that was the case, that fits right in with kind of the monsters of the midway, tough, gritty, defenders. Like, I'm all about it. I think it's a great pick for the Bears in that spot.
Yeah, it felt like it as well to be able to get him at number 25. Felt like really good value for the Bears. And I think the grade that I saw on that was an A. I think the Bears and the Cowboys and really like three, 4 other teams were the team, like everyone doing the instant grades and stuff. Like those they both got A's for last night. So it's a good start for them, a team that was already a playoff team. LaCuca is right, man. We did 3 over under 3.5 on the trades in the first round. And I don't know what the total ended up being, but
it was a lot.
Far exceeded 3.5. That's for sure.
But it took a minute. Like, there weren't big ones at the top. You know what I mean? Like, everybody pretty much stood pat at the top. And then basically starting with the Cowboys, it all kind of took off from there. And it was like, oh, lots of trades happening here. Yeah, I mean, they were all over the place.
Yeah. And then, the Chiefs traded up and got the defensive back from LSU. And it got a little crazy there. Yeah. So second and third rounds tonight. Malachi Fields is currently ranked on number 27 on ESPN's ranking of the next best available players heading into the second round tonight. He's the number 6 wide receiver on the list. So good chance that he'll see his name called. Some of the other rankings I saw on the ESPN list, which I imagine are probably predominantly Mel Kiper's list.
Sure.
Billy Strouth is the number 6 guard. Emil Wagner is the number 16 tackle on the list. Eli Raridan, the number 7 tight end. Jordan Botelho, not among the top 25 edge players left. So I don't know. We'll wait and see kind of how the weekend works out for him. I'm sure he'll end up on, getting signed if he doesn't get drafted or whatever. But for tonight anyway, Malachi Fields feels like he's close to a sure thing. Be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, only 2 interior offensive linemen went in the first round, which I don't know if that's high or low, but I feel like that's low. And so, we'll see if any more interior, like if there's a run on interior linemen. I know that the draft is deep for offensive tackles. It's funny. I'm looking at the, NFL.com. I'm looking at, the round 2 and they've got the needs of each team, and it's like I feel like they didn't have enough space to write the needs for the Cardinals. Like there's just so many.
Everything but running back.
Right. They have 5 positions listed. You know what I mean? It's like they
Uh-huh.
got some needs. So anyway, it'll be fun. I think, again, I'm very interested to see what the Cardinals do now that they have Jeremiah Love in the fold. Are they going to trade to get into the second round of you know what I mean? Like they only have 1 pick in the second round, and that's at number 2. And so what are they going to do there? And are they going to make some moves here to kind of bolster that offensive line? But
James asking which Notre Dame running back I would pick up in fantasy. Well, I would start with Kyron Williams. He's a proven commodity at this point. But I would go Williams, I would go Jadarian Price, and then I would go Jeremiah Love just because
of the team around him.
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with the talent, but I would wait a little bit on Jeremiah Love before I had at least one guy who I think is going to, be my bell cow fantasy guy.
If you're in a PPR league, I might go Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, but still.
That's my only way I would take him above Jadarian Price.
Yeah.
Is because they might be throwing him the ball a bunch because they have no time to throw the ball down the field.
It's a good point, actually.
That's all I got. That's my only pushback.
No, totally fair point. The PPR, that could actually help you out quite a bit. But I remember taking Kyron Williams when he was a rookie, kind of as a late round guy, and it didn't pan out. And then the next year,
right, when
it was kind of his
off.
breakout year. Yeah, exactly. Let's take our break. When we come back, we'll get into some blue gold football game. We're actually Vincent and I are going to do a quick, speaking of fantasy, we're going to do our quick draft of fantasy teams for the game and look at some things to look for the Fighting Irish in tomorrow's blue gold game at Notre Dame Stadium. 2:00 kickoff. Will be on the air at 1:30. Sunny 101.5 FM, the Sunny 101.5 FM app, and Sirius XM radio as well. I've got to find those channels once again. 381 and 971 are the Sirius XM channels if you are a Sirius subscriber. Take our break, and then we're back. Touch on the blue gold game next. Budweiser's Weekday Sportsbeat with IrishBreakdown.com. We continue Budweiser's Weekday Sportsbeat with IrishBreakdown.com. We're rolling through our first hour of the show. Rapid fire comes your way in the second hour. We've got the blue gold game kickoff just a little after 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I think the forecast is still supposed to be pretty good, isn't it, Vince? I don't know the last time.
I believe it's like mid-60s and sunny by the time the game actually starts.
That's pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to – that's pretty solid.
That's what it says here. Straight up sunshine, 61 degrees, just a 1% chance for any rain. I don't think you could ask for much better because we've seen a lot worse this time of year.
I think
like today.
I was looking at the notes today, and they've got like previous attendance and all of that.
Uh-huh.
The record attendance for a blue gold game was 2006 with a little over 41,000.
Okay.
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance tomorrow because there's a lot of hype around this team.
Is there enough hype to get people? Because I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
2006 blue gold game, so that would have been still Brady Quinn, Jeff Samardzija, Tom Zibikowski, all those guys.
Yep.
You know, coming off a big 2005 season. There wasn't a quarterback competition. Well, maybe so, because there wasn't a quarterback competition.
No,
but there were just a lot of people excited about it. So
I forget exactly.
You want to make this interesting right now?
How so, sir? What are your terms?
I don't know. Is it worth a sandwich somewhere?
I think it could be.
Okay.
So
what's the number? What's the exact number?
I'll tell you what. Let me look for it while
I was just looking at the notes, but I didn't see the attendance record. Is it early in the notes? I was just sitting here. We do know it's going to be, without getting into a lot of detail, we do know it's going to be an offense versus defense format. So I think that bodes fairly well for, kind of probably the quality that we'll see tomorrow, because like Tommy is saying here in the chat, I hope we see 1 to 2 series of 1v1, then 1 to 2 series of number 1 offense, number 2 defense, and number 1 defense, number 2 offense. I think we'll probably see something close to that mix, would be my guess.
So the record is 41,279.
41,279.
Last year, just for the purpose of this little contest, last year, 40,621.
Ooh, man.
So not that far off.
All right, I'm not gonna wager. I think you're right. Perfect weather tomorrow. Yeah. People are pretty excited. You get to see CJ Carr and everybody else. Will it get to 42? Will it touch 42?
Ooh, I don't know. I hope so. I really do, because it's a perfect time to come out. And if people think this team is going to be as good as it is, this might be the only chance that you get to see them. Like if I wasn't doing what I do for a job, this would be my only opportunity to see this team in person. So I'd pack the kids up, like, let's go.
Yeah.
This could be a special season. Let's go watch this team play.
$50, get the whole family.
Yeah.
In.
Big difference than trying to get in there during the regular season.
Yeah.
So
you're right about that. All right. So again, a 2 o'clock kickoff tomorrow, 1:30. We will be on the air. Vince and Jesse and I will have the call on the radio, as Vince said. Vince had to send me the screenshot today.
Yes.
We're in the official blue gold game notes. I think
we're official.
I think you and Jesse were just through the roof when you saw this.
It's been a little bit, because we used to be in the game notes when we did the pregame show. And so,
That's right. I forgot about that.
It was old hat back then, but that's been a minute since we did that. And so it was fun. It was nice to see the old name in print again.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. Andre says he made it to Mishawaka Hotel. Can't wait to be at the spring game. Can't wait to see you guys. All right. We will be out there tomorrow. Justin asks, you don't think fans are hyped for this season? No, I'm not saying that at all. I just don't know. Fans are definitely hyped for the season. I just don't know how that translates
to attendance,
to spring game attendance.
Yeah. Which I totally get. I mean, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Kids have games, and there's.
I think that was actually intended for somebody else in the chat, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anything that you really want to learn from this game, you think you're going to learn from this game?
It's tough, okay? Because you don't want, like, the game isn't meaningless, right? Like, you don't want to go into it like, oh, nothing that happens matters, because that's not true. But you also want to be careful that you're not taking just like so much stock in this game and taking it for, this is Bible, chapter and verse of how things are going to go during the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a coach, you want to see them compete. You want to see these guys, this is the first time, obviously. Yes, the Jersey scrimmage was competitive and all of those things, and you guys saw some great stuff in that, but it was in front of like 100 people. This might be in front of 41,000 people. It's a big difference. And for some of these high school kids that are, it's their first semester at Notre Dame, this will be the biggest crowd they ever have played in front of.
That's true.
So I just want to see competition. I want to see these guys getting after each other. I don't want to see them going through the motions. I don't want to see an NFL Pro Bowl, situation. You don't want to see that. You want to see these guys getting after it a little bit. And you want to see the stars be stars, obviously. I'd love to see, Leonard Moore get a pick, or I'd love to see, CJ Carr throw a bomb, like that kind of stuff. You want to see that kind of stuff. And then the other piece of it is I want to see some guys that I haven't had a chance to see yet, right? You've got some of the transfer guys coming in on defense. You've got the, Mylan Graham on offense. Like, I want to see some of these guys compete because I haven't seen that yet. Right. Those are my expectations.
I want to see the offensive and defensive lines mix it up.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yes. 100%.
I want to see some of that, because again, I do feel like it's still different when you're talking about in a setting where there are actually fans and you're in the stadium. You got a little bit more juice to you, even if it's a spring game. I want to see how those guys mix it up. Irish Eyes is talking about Francis Brew. Like, yeah, I want to
all of that. Yeah.
I want to see him battle against some of those interior guys. We saw a little bit of Anthony Knapp and Tion Gray last week at the Jersey scrimmage. I want to see more of that. I want to see these big on big, good on good guys going head to head, button heads down there in the trenches. But I also do want to see kind of more like Bubba Frazier was not targeted at all last week. I'd like to see him get my eyes on him and more Devin Fitzgerald and these young wide receivers, Jerome Bettis Jr., Elijah Burris, all those guys. I want to see all those young receivers and kind of what they can do with some different quarterbacks. And that's hopefully Blake Hebert is out there as well, because I'd really, after he missed the scrimmage last week, I'd really like to see him in a live setting so that we have something to kind of compare with Noah Grubbs going into this summer, even though no matter what, I think something's going to happen between those two tomorrow where, as we've talked about before, Vince, people are probably going to overreact, and that's going to be a lingering storyline all summer long.
And the overreaction is going to be quarterback. Like, that's where they're going to overreact. And it's funny because it's going to be the number 2 quarterback that they're overreacting about. But it's going to happen. We will talk about it on Monday's show, and it's going to be overreaction central when it comes to Noah Grubbs and what he's able to do, or Blake Hebert, or what they're not able to do, whatever the case may be. And will one of these guys lead a game-winning drive against the 3s and 4s? Like, that's the question.
Pick a number between 1 and 10.
8.
All right. I guess I don't know if this is the way to do it, because we're going to do our fantasy draft here.
Okay.
So, like, you didn't get the number, but I don't know what I need to do. Like, you're very close. Do you have a coin? Do you have, like, that would make
I don't have a coin on me, and I don't know that there's one down here. Anything to even flip.
Does anybody have a coin? Let me see. Let me see if there's something.
I don't carry coins anymore, Stiers.
All right. So I've written heads on one side of this paper.
Just chuck it in the air.
Okay, B. Plentz has a coin. All right. So B. Plentz, get your coin out. Don't do anything with it yet. And we're going to trust you.
Here we go.
So Vince is going to call it. So B. Plants, flip your coin, but don't tell us what it lands on. Go ahead and flip it. I'll count to 5. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Vince, call it.
Tails.
Okay, Vince is calling tails. B. Plants in the chat. Is it heads or tails? We await anxiously to see the YouTube chat.
Oh, come on! You could have lied, Brandon. You could have lied. You're a man of integrity. I appreciate that.
All right, so we're going to draft our teams. We each get to pick a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, a running back, a tight end, a DB, a defensive lineman, and a linebacker. The gold game. These are our fantasy teams. So, sorry, Vince. I CJ Carr.
If you don't take CJ Carr, then I have issues.
I thought about making it like, should we each just take, Grubbs or Hebert, but we don't know Hebert's status as of right.
That's true.
So.
No, that's true. Well, I'm not going to go quarterback then. I'm going to go Jordan Faison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that for you.
This is like I'm going to be taking quarterback last because I know that he's still going to be there, and it's like my kicker. That's how that's going to be.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take Nolan James. Go with the running back.
Good pick. I am going to take Mylan Graham.
Ooh, I thought about that. So you've loaded up on wide. So that was my debate internally.
I'm trying to neutralize your CJ Carr pick.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you've got 2 top receivers, obviously, right there. So the question is, the third receiver. Who do I go with as the third receiver? Man. Because I feel like, well, I mean, you don't get to pick any more receivers at this point. So I don't know.
That's true. That's a good point. I was going to say, like, you've got, Micah Gilbert's probably going to start at the W, but he's probably also going to be going against Leonard Moore. So
yeah, exactly. I'm going to go. I am going to go to the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to go with Tay Johnson.
Smart going defense for sure. And Tay Johnson's going to be all over the place in this game. I am actually going to throw a little bit of a no. So I'm not going to take Leonard Moore because I don't think anybody. CJ Carr's not throwing at Leonard Moore. He's not.
He didn't throw at him. He didn't throw at him at all in the scrimmage last week.
He's not going to be.
That's
not
why
I
didn't take him. I mean, he's obviously the best DB, but
of course,
because he's not going to have any opportunities.
I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I'm going to go Luke Talich because I think Luke is going to be all over the field, and he's going to be like a varsity player going up against JV, and I think he's going to make some plays.
Yeah, he's kind of like that AAA baseball player,
right?
On like teetering.
Yes,
there. He's like kind of like a quadruple A kind of guy. I'm still trying to figure out the receivers I'm going to take.
This is true,
man, because it's like, do I go with what we saw last week? I tell you what, I'm just going to go ahead and go with Fitzgerald. I might get.
Yeah, why not?
I'm going to go with Devin Fitzgerald.
I like that pick. So linebacker is going to be important here because of tackle numbers and things of that nature. So I'm going to go Jaden Osbury for my linebacker.
See, now you're kicking my butt in this whole thing. You're a step ahead of me at every turn now. With the different
CJ Carr, man, that's still massive.
And if CJ Carr doesn't air it out early, then I'm going to end up getting hosed on this whole deal. I'll make sure I've got a good linebacker, and I'll go with Jalen Sneed.
Yep, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. So I need a defensive lineman. I'm going to go Boubacar. I'm going to go Boubacar as my defensive lineman. I thought about going with a second lineman. Not a second lineman, but a second team lineman. Somebody in that 2 hole. But I think Boubacar is going to have some fun.
Nope. I think that is a really good pick as well. And I'm still debating on who my second receiver is going to be, but I'll go ahead and go Micah Gilbert.
That's a good pick.
Yep. I think that's a good shot to reel in some numbers.
He's the second leading receiver coming back, by the way.
There you go.
I mean, from last year anyway.
Yeah, returning guy. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
there's that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go. See, here's the thing. I am going to go Cooper Flanagan for my tight end.
Okay.
But he has 0 career receptions.
Yeah, I know.
So I didn't realize until I was doing my prep work for tomorrow, 0 receptions.
Nothing. There's not a whole lot there. That's right.
I mean, Ty Washington has 5 at least.
And I was thinking about it. And, again, you're a step ahead of me with all these picks after I, went with
That's
Carr
true.
at number 1. So all I need now is a tight end and a defensive lineman. So I'll go ahead and I will go with Ty Washington as my tight end.
That was funny. Did you get 2 receivers already?
I did. Fitzgerald and Gilbert.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you did.
So all you need is a quarterback and a running back now at this point.
I'm going to go Jonas Walton because I think there's only going to be 2 running backs really.
Yeah, I mean, other than the walk-ons, you could go with one of the walk-ons if you want. They might rack something.
Jay Fish isn't there anymore, so I don't feel like I want to go that route.
Yep, that's very true.
But one of them is probably going to get in the end zone is the thing. So
I know who I'm going to go with. God, see, it wasn't. He's still so young and he's still so new that I wasn't thinking about it. But I'm going to go with Rodney Dunham as my defensive lineman.
Ooh,
so that is my last pick.
It's a good call. My last pick is going to be quarterback, and I'm going Noah Grubbs.
All right.
Well, I'm going Noah Grubbs for 2 reasons. Number 1, I know he's going to play, and I'm not sure about Blake Hebert, but I would have gone Noah Grubbs anyway, even if I knew both guys were healthy. But I just think he's boom or bust. He's going to take some chances. He's going to chuck it deep. He's going to try to fit it into small windows, which is going to benefit him, but he's probably also going to throw some picks too. So it just, I like the boomer bust guy, so I'm going Noah Grubbs.
I like it. All right, so our annual Blue Gold Game fantasy draft, here's what we've got. Quarterbacks, I have CJ Carr. Vince has Noah Grubbs. Wide receivers, I have Devin Fitzgerald and Micah Gilbert. Vince has Jordan Faison and Mylan Graham. Man, back-to-back, he smoked me on that. I think my guys still have a good shot, but
I do too.
That's like a lot of quality there with Faison and Graham. Running backs, I've got Nolan James. He has Jonas Walton. Tight ends, I have Ty Washington. He has Cooper Flanagan. Defensive backs, I have Tay Johnson. He has Luke Talich. Defensive line, I have Rodney Dunham. He has Boubacar Traore. And linebacker, I have Jalen Sneed, and he has Jaden Osbury. Got to tell you, just looking at it, like I got the number 1 pick and I got the quarterback, but I think I like your depth there a little bit more than what I got.
I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie.
Did
you get the email I sent you this afternoon by chance?
I had already put together something.
I figured you did. I figured you did, but it was more of a it was more of throwing a bone to your boy in case he wasn't ready to go. But like I spent some time on this baby. Like I'm ready.
I was amazed
at
how much work you did on that thing. I had a hard time doing the what is it? Is it the landscape? Is that the one that's
I did it on legal
format?
I went legal size, so it's a little longer.
Okay.
So, and I can only do that at work.
I don't think we have legal size paper here at work. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. I had a really hard time. Like I had to keep tinkering with the size of my boxes and the font size and all that different stuff. But
I'm excited. Like I actually learned some stuff as I was putting it together, as happens all the time. But yeah,
I mean, that's the point of doing it, right?
It is the point of doing it, but and we'll see how well it works out during the game. But luckily, you're the play-by-play guy, so we'll all be there. We can all share the. It's gonna be fun. I'm pumped.
Stuff. That's right. It'll fly by. All right, Blue Gold Game coming up tomorrow, Notre Dame Stadium again. 2:00 is the kickoff. 1:30 the broadcast begins. Sunny 101.5 FM is where you can find it here in town. The Sunny 101.5 app and on Sirius XM radio channels 381 and 971. We will have the call tomorrow from Notre Dame Stadium. We'll take our final break of this show, and then we've got rapid fire swinging your way in the 6:00 hour. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Second hour of the show, and that means rapid fire time. Along with Vince Jadarian, I'm Sean Stiers. We've got South Bend Cubs baseball coming up in just a little bit. We'll be done by 6:40 this evening. Yes, NFL draft last night. Of course, we started the show talking about Jeremiyah Love and Jadarian Price, the Notre Dame running back duo, both going in the first round of the draft last night. Are those two, Vince, being drafted in the first round a bigger deal than Quentin Nelson and Mike McGlinchey, both going in the top 10 in the 2018 draft?
This is one of those like speech and debate topics where I could argue either side.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know how confident I would be in one or the other. The argument is like, well, one went 3 and the other one went 32 versus 2 top 10. Like the 2 top 10 would be a bigger deal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got, well, there's 5 starting offensive linemen on a team. And so you got 5 guys that have a chance to, make a name for themselves. Jadarian Price was a freaking backup and he is a first round draft pick. So like, that's amazing. And it's the first time that the first 2 running backs went in the first round, came from the same school. So like, right. I guess I'm going to go with the running backs. That's I just convinced myself I'm going to go with the running backs because of that fact. Because one has 0 career starts, still went in the first round, and I think he may even have a better NFL career than he did a college career.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, obviously, that McGlinchey and Nelson both went in the first round. That's been 8 years ago. It's not completely uncommon. Most of the guys drafted in the first round, it feels like, for Notre Dame have been offensive linemen. So it's like a little bit of been there, done that. As great, especially as Quentin Nelson has turned out to be, multiple-time All-Pro and everything else. And Mike McGlinchey still having a solid professional career. He's still playing. But it's been 33 years since Notre Dame even had 2 running backs drafted in the same draft, period. Jerome Bettis in the first round, and Reggie Brooks went as well in the 1993 draft. It is very rare. It's just the 6th time ever that teammate running backs have been drafted in the first round, and it's been 18 years since it happened. And you just go on and on about all these different lists. And like Stymie was saying here in the chat, and we kind of talked about this last night as well, it's huge for Notre Dame where Notre Dame is as they continue to ascend kind of to that place where the teams like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson have been. Like those, Clemson obviously is falling off a little bit, but those other schools, especially Ohio State, like even though some of them were defensive guys last night, they just continue to crank out skill talent guy after skill talent guy, and Alabama has as well. Notre Dame is moving into that echelon now. To have that kind of advertisement in the first round of the draft last night, I just think is massive for Notre Dame. So I do think it's a bigger deal that the 2 running backs went in the first round. And especially, like we talked about, Jadarian Price never started a game in his Notre Dame career. He was a first round draft pick in the NFL. Like, what does that tell you? Like in terms of like, you're talking to recruits about, well, I don't know if I want to go there because you got this guy and that kind of thing. It's like, you don't have to necessarily be the starter. If we stack enough talent, we can win a heck of a lot of games. Mm-hmm. You can also still be drafted very high, regardless of if you're a starter or not.
The pitch writes itself, right? I mean,
yeah.
And we've been talking about the fact that Notre Dame has a stacked running back room as it is, and they do. If it wasn't for the injuries, I mean, you would still see an amazing amount of talent on the field tomorrow from the running back room. I mean, you still are, but there's only going to be 2 of them. Right. But there's a ton of talent there. And so whatever pitch they've been using has been working. But now, I mean, it writes itself. And it's going to be even easier to bring in these high-level running backs. I mean, they're just going to keep loading that room up.
Yeah. Did you hear John Lynch, by the way, the San Francisco 49ers general manager? They were doing a press conference, and I think somebody asked him about Ty Simpson going in the first round, which feels, granted it's the same division, but it feels weird, like asking the 49ers general manager about the Rams taking a quarterback in the first round. But the first thing out of his mouth, he started talking about how great Jeremiyah Love is, so Like, again, just more walking advertisements for Notre Dame across the league. So.
It is going to be, look, it's going to be interesting to see how Jeremiah Love's career goes, going with Arizona and same thing with Jadarian Price going to Seattle. But I wouldn't be surprised, if a team swoops in and just gives something up to the Cardinals to get Jeremiah Love on their roster at some point. Not now, obviously, but like a couple of years from now.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Like the whole Saquon Barkley thing.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Over under 2.5 Notre Dame players who get drafted in the first round of next year's draft.
So I think you got 2 guarantees in CJ Carr and Leonard Moore.
Correct.
Right? I think we can all agree on that.
Why the number is what it is, Vince.
I'm explaining it to the poor folk, okay?
Okay, I got you.
And I'm also buying time in my brain to try to figure out which direction I want to go here.
Uh-huh.
Look,
let's talk through the possibilities.
Right. Yes, that's what I was going to do. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I think Boubacar Traore is a guy who could put himself in a position to be there. I think both Tay Johnson and Adon Schuler are guys who could put themselves in position to be there. I think, as Irish Eyes says, Kingston Viliamu Asa, depending on his health, is a guy who could put himself in position to be there. So that is 4 more. I don't know why I'm doing like a German for 4 guys who have a chance along with CJ Carr. Anybody else?
I think there's
any offensive lineman.
There's a chance, depending on how the season goes. Drake Bowen could be in that conversation. I'm not saying he's going to be a first rounder, but I'm saying he could be in the conversation as the leader of this defense that could be a very, very, very good defense, potentially going to championship game, stuff like that. Like, I think he could be in that conversation. As far as offensive linemen, I think it's too early. Like, look, Anthony Knapp's going to get a lot of love, but I don't know that is he going to come out after his junior year? Is he going to stay for 4?
Right.
I mean, he's got 27 career starts under his belt at the moment and is getting All-America looks and all of those different kinds of things.
If he plays really well this year, after 2 years starting as a left tackle and then moving inside to play left guard, I could see him really climbing the charts, but he's still really got to see what that looks like as a guard.
Yeah. And we all know it's harder.
Like one more year.
Yes.
Maybe the year after.
Right.
2028 instead of 2027 for him.
Like, I don't see Gerby Lambert leaving, although he could, because he's the same class as Anthony Knapp, but he's only got 12 career starts under his belt. You know what I mean? So I don't think he would leave, and that's where that ends with offensive linemen. So I think it's the 4 guys you named, plus I'm going to throw Drake Bowen in there because I want to. I'm going to say over. I think one of those guys will sneak in. Like, luckily you didn't ask me which 3. But you just said 2.5. So
but I mean, when we've got 2 guys we feel are pretty certain, CJ Carr and Leonard Moore.
Agreed.
And so then you've got 4 other guys who could play themselves into that possibility. So just from a numbers game,
right,
the over on 2.5 feels pretty good. Like that one of those 4 guys play themselves into being in the first round with CJ Carr and Leonard Moore. So I'm going over as well.
Yeah. See, that was a great exercise.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
We worked it out.
Yeah.
Well done. How about this one now? Ohio State had 4 players selected within the first 11 picks of the draft last night. Scale of 1 to 10. What's your confidence Notre Dame will have that kind of draft night within the next 5 years?
Like a 3. I think that's tough. I think that's like not a once in a lifetime kind of a situation, but like, that's impressive to get 4 guys in the top 11 like that. I can't remember. I'm sure you have this written down someplace like the last time that happened.
I actually don't, but
okay. Well, probably because it never has.
Couldn't find it, easily. So
yeah, probably because it never has. And so I don't like, while I think that Notre Dame will have more first round picks, I'm not going to put on the rose colored glasses to say that they're going to have 4 in the first 11 picks. Like I can't go that far. That's tough. That's really tough. And the fact that Ohio State did this without one of them being a quarterback, I think is also very impressive.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I didn't even think about it that way because, it's obviously usually basically quarterbacks and edge players who are up there. And you had none of those. You had 2 receivers and you had a safety. And actually you didn't have 2 receivers. You had a receiver, you had a safety, you had an off-ball linebacker, and you had an edge rusher.
Yeah.
So one of each different position. That's pretty amazing right there. And by the way, they didn't make it to the national championship.
No, like the national champion only had 2 guys go in the first round, and I don't think they're gonna have a whole lot more. But
here's see. What the quick results tell me: the first school in 59 years to have 4 guys in the first 11 picks.
There you go.
The last time any team matched or exceeded that, Michigan State in 1967. Before that, Notre Dame in 1946.
So they did do it. Notre Dame did do it in 1946. And of course, that Michigan State team was coming off of a national championship because I believe they shared it with Notre Dame
after the 10-all tie. That's right. Yeah. Good call. Good call. Yeah. So my confidence is a 2 as well. I think that Notre Dame is setting itself up that it could have 4 players drafted in the first round. In the very we were talking about, could easily get 3 next year, and that would be awesome if they're able to do that. But 4 in the top 11 picks, that's just, because think about that. Even Nick Saban's teams with all those national championships never even did that. 4 in the top 11 picks. They had a lot of guys scattered throughout the first round where they had 4 or 5 guys, but they didn't in Georgia as well a couple of years ago, but they didn't have 4 in the top 11. That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It's very amazing, very impressive. And that's just kind of a situation where you take advantage of your Ohio State. Awesome that they were able to do it. But the chances of that happening again are very, 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 very slim. But here's the scary part. They could have 2 more guys in the top 5, top 10 next year. If you figure quarterback and receiver again,
I know,
depending on how, I'm not a Julian Sayin fan personally, but you know how quarterbacks are overvalued, and nobody's going to say that Jeremiah Smith isn't a good player. So I think he's going to go super high, and wherever Julian Sayin goes, they're going to have another top heavy first round.
Yeah. And Ohio State just cranks out first round draft pick wide receivers year after year. And that's what, basically they look at Jackson Smith and Jigba. He just became the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL a few weeks ago, and it's just goes on and on. The beat goes on.
Well, hopefully 2 of them are now.
I was going to say, a couple of them with those gold helmets turn out to be anywhere near that. Right. How much does your interest in the NFL depend on being able to watch former Notre Dame players play? Got former Notre Dame players playing in the NFL. How much does that, raise or lower your interest in terms of watching NFL games?
It does not do anything for me for watching NFL games. If I'm watching a game and there's a Notre Dame guy, it's oh, cool. I'll keep an eye on him. But I don't think I've ever thought, oh my gosh, I need to watch the Rams play because Kyron Williams is playing. Just as an example, right?
No, exactly.
It absolutely intensifies my viewing of the NFL draft, but not the NFL itself, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. It's like if I'm watching a playoff game and there's a Notre Dame guy on one side and there's not one on the other, right? I will definitely pull for that guy. Within reason, it's still, it's avoid the Eagles, avoid the 49ers, avoid those teams if possible, avoid the Giants, that kind of thing. But it definitely, I'm exactly the same with you. When I see Kyron Williams and they're doing highlights at the end of Sunday, it's oh, awesome. Kyron had another good day. That's great. I do wish more guys ended up on my team, more former Notre Dame guys ended
Yes.
up on my team, but it hasn't always turned out that way. So,
Like, I love watching Cole
now I
Kmet.
get to watch the former Notre Dame soccer player, still kick field goals for the Cowboys.
Hey,
So,
man, he's scoring lots of points for you.
yeah,
So.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but like I also at the same time wouldn't have minded, not that I thought they had any chance of getting Jeremiah Love, or that they were going to get Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price last night. I will say I was holding out like some slim hope that at number 33, could they actually go with Jadarian? Didn't happen. I mean, they did the smart thing. They went with a defensive player, but
Yeah, they did the smart thing, but not the thing we wanted them to do. It's that kind of a deal,
But it doesn't impact my viewing interest on Sundays one way or the other.
No, I love when Cole Kmet does well, because that means the Bears are doing well. Like, that's where I'm at, and I love the fact that his celebration is like hitting a home run. Because probably a lot of people don't realize he played baseball. Like that kind of a thing. But other than that, yeah, it's just fun to. I forgot he so and so plays for that team. And I'm watching it because it's Thursday night and there's nothing else to watch except for the NFL. So
yeah,
that kind of deal.
Honestly, like Lakuka says, that's why he doesn't do fantasy, because he just wants to watch football and not be keeping track of his players. That actually kind of, to me, fantasy, and a lot of other people as well. That's why part of why the Sunday Ticket is so popular, because of fantasy football, and obviously because of the legalized sports wagering now. But like fantasy is like, gives me more interest in what's going on in games in general in the NFL than like former Notre Dame guys, for example.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no,
I stake there. So.
Yep, I agree with that.
Okay, switching gears a little bit. Heather Dinich earlier this week wrote an article titled "What We Learned About Notre Dame and Indiana This Spring" for ESPN. Here's a quote she had from Fighting Irish head coach Marcus Freeman about Curt Cignetti, the Indiana head coach. "Sometimes you've got to sit back and think what Cignetti did. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And they did it at Indiana, which many people didn't view as a football school until the last 2 years. I think it's awesome. I do. It's awesome for college football as a fan, not as the head coach of Notre Dame. More teams can win it than you probably think going into a season." End quote from Marcus Freeman about what Curt Cignetti did at Indiana, winning a national championship. I found it interesting, Vince. There is no friendly quote from Curt Cignetti about Marcus Freeman in this article at ESPN.com. Do you think Cignetti actually has it in him to say something good about another coach?
No. I don't. And that's part of his appeal. Like, Curt Cignetti is Curt Cignetti, and like he's gonna let you know who he is and why he's the man, and he's not gonna bring up any other coach, and that's who he is. And I would expect nothing less and be surprised if it went the other direction, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, is that like a persona that he uses, like like the Bill Belichick kind of a deal, like next question, our next opponent, like that kind of crap? I don't know, because I don't know Curt Cignetti, but
he's very much in that mold. I mean,
yes.
He obviously got, I think he got his start very low, on the totem pole under Nick Saban, and Nick Saban, very much
similar
that kind of guy, and friends with Bill Belichick as well. So I mean, you can see where he got his rough edges demeanor.
There's a reason people like Marcus Freeman, and there's a reason people don't like Curt Cignetti, and that is a prime example right there. So
I agree. I just don't think Cignetti has it in him. I mean, he had no problem. I read the whole article, read the whole thing through. He had no problem talking about himself and how he does things and how he's changed things and all those different. And that's, fine. You look, to the victor go the spoils. He won a national championship. The question is, does Cignetti have it in him to praise another? Because, look, what Marcus Freeman has done at Notre Dame is not the same ballpark as what Curt Cignetti has done at Indiana. We can talk about money, we can talk about everything else. Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, they're spending a lot of money on their roster as well. They are closer to a national championship under Marcus Freeman than they have been in a long time. But Indiana obviously never sniffed any kind of championships before Curt Cignetti. So, but I don't think that is part of his DNA to heap praise on anyone other than Kurt Signetti. You know, it's like the guy is calling out the Michigan State transfer for wearing gold cleats at practice, for God's sake. Like, that is some kind of cardinal sin, you know, to actually have the gall to show up wearing gold cleats at practice.
Which, I mean, well, I guess obviously things are different now with
you
NIL.
might get them issued to you if you came to Notre Dame.
And that's the thing. Like, that, I was going to say, like, with NIL, I guess maybe he went out and bought his own cleats, like that kind of a thing, and just showed up at practice. But like, usually the teams, like, their team issue cleats. Like, Kurt, you know what your team's handing out? Like, I wonder if there were other ones, you know, like, but I'm sure he probably went out and bought his own, you know, wanted a little flash because he's a wide receiver or whatever. But like every other team I've been involved with in any way, shape, or form, like, you get your cleats from the team, you know what I mean? It's so they're kind of already pre-approved.
Right. Exactly. I wanted to get a couple of these. Joseph Barrett slid a few questions in the mailbag, and I forgot these were in here, so I want to make sure that we get them before we wrap up here in a few minutes. He said, I heard Joe Alt's name mentioned a few times during the broadcast. Is he considered the modern-day standard for left tackle?
You know, yes is the short answer. I mean, he's long, he's athletic, you know, he's a plug-and-play kind of a guy. I know he was injured towards the end of last year, most of the year. I don't, it's hard to tell. They're out in California. I don't really follow it, but yes, I mean, the answer is yes. He is the prototypical tackle.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, if you're looking at the body type and whatever else, like if that's what they were comparing him to, I think that is, you know, like he is definitely in that ballpark, you know, from a literal aspect. The guy out in Denver, Bowles, I think, was the first team All-Pro last year, you know, but Alt was injured a good deal of last year. Trent Williams at San Francisco is also really good, but I mean, the guy was a top 5 pick and he plays at a high level. The biggest thing is he just couldn't stay healthy last year with the injuries that he had, but you know, he plays for Jim Harbaugh. That is an offensive, defensive line driven NFL program. And so I think at the very least, a guy like Joe Alt is held in pretty high regard with the you know, both the organization that he's at, the way that he plays, and you know where he was drafted and the whole thing. So I think he's a pretty good count. Joseph also says, was drafting Jeremiah Love contrary to the traditional philosophy of building a team inside out? If so, will it negatively impact his NFL start?
Man,
I mean, this is the argument that a lot of people had against taking Jeremiah Love, specific to the Cardinals, them specifically taking Jeremiah Love because of the fact that Arizona had so many needs, including offensive line.
I think it's draft specific. I think that obviously they need offensive linemen. It's deep enough offensive tackle. Like, so you're going to be able to get offensive linemen down the road. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of it for me. Also, he's not just a running back. He is a potential generational running back. I mean, that's what all, and that's not just Notre Dame fan talking. That's what all these guys are saying. Like, he's the best player in the draft. If you have an opportunity to take the best player in the draft at number 3, you take the best player on the draft and you figure it out from there. Like, that's, look, if I'm building a team, yes, inside out, linemen, all those things, yes, absolutely. I just think they would regret passing on Jeremiah Love. I just do.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you brought up a great point when we were talking about the fantasy football stuff. Like, who would you rather have in your fantasy draft next year, Jadarian Price or Jeremiah Love? And, you know, like, from a PPR standpoint, Jeremiah Love makes sense. And it's not just from a, you know, PPR fantasy standpoint, but from a winning games standpoint. Like, one of the comps that I had last night was a guy like Thurman Thomas from the Buffalo Bills and the 4 straight Super Bowls that they went to. Like, he was one of the best, you know, dual threat, you know, Roger Craig back to the 49ers in the 1980s, a guy who had 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards in the same season. I'm not saying Love is going to go out and put up those kind of numbers right away, but because of the fact that he does have that ability, you know, like, people talking about him leading into the draft, like, this is a guy who could easily start at slot receiver if you just made him a a wide receiver. He's been practicing there for the last few years. So he has a lot of value beyond just straight up running it out of the backfield. And I do think they obviously plan to try to build something, of an offensive line around him. It could negatively impact the start to his NFL career, but so could also not having a franchise type quarterback around him. And that's what Arizona has to still figure out. And we talked about this in the first hour. Like, do you do that this year by drafting, a back or somebody in the second round, or do you even just hold out and wait for a year and kind of go that way, play for a higher draft pick next year and get your franchise quarterback next year?
Yeah.
It looks like we have breaking news, Vince.
Yeah, I figured I'd pull this up. They just announced the shirt. And so it looks like it's going to be navy blue this year. And I'm not exactly sure what, okay, so it's a championship ring, which is bold. There's a championship ring on the front, says Notre Dame football 2026. And then on the back, it's got the golden dome. It says Love Thee Notre Dame, and it's got 4 football players, and they're numbered 1, 8, 4, and 2. Obviously, 1842 is when Notre Dame was founded. And so navy blue is the color of the shirt.
That could be Jaden Greathouse, Adon Schuler, or Jerome Bettis.
Yep.
Jaden Osbury or Bubba Frazier. And then Nolan James. I'm trying to think, is there a 2 on the defensive side of the ball off the top of my head?
That's a great question. Not on the 2 deep.
Nope, there's not.
Okay. Well, it could be an homage to, Jeremiah Love. He's number 4. But
Sure.
But either way. So interesting choice, though. I mean, the ring on the front is just it says
feels like a next year shirt if after you win a championship.
Right. Yes. 100%.
Doing a ring.
I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. Hey.
It's unique. We haven't seen it before.
No, have never seen a ring. Like, we've seen players with their numbers meaning something on the back and things like that, but the front, I mean, and that is a bold design. It's not small at all. It's like the whole front of the shirt. So,
yep. Remember, these are student designed.
They are.
Well, so
they are.
Yeah.
So anyway, figured I'd throw that up there before we got out of here.
All right. Thanks for bringing that in. I hadn't seen that pop up. Stymie says Pop-Tarts bowl ring.
No, Stymie.
Zing. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Alabama has signed Kalen DeBoer to a 7-year contract extension that'll pay him $12.5 million a year.
A little early. It feels very Charlie Weiss-ish to me. And at least Charlie Weiss was successful in his first 2 years. Now, you could say, if you took off the name of Alabama, you could say, he's doing a good job, whatever. But it's not up to the Alabama level of success. I mean, I think we can all agree about that.
Yeah, he got to the play. He just slid into
the playoffs this year.
Field.
Yeah, slid in. Obviously missed, I believe, the year before. He's not living up to the Alabama standard. So I'm actually very surprised that they rewarded him with a 7-year deal. Like that.
8
just
losses in 2 years. Like, they still lost 4 games
last
year after losing in the playoffs. They 20-8 in his first 2 seasons, and they extended him at $12.5 million. I don't get it, because I just said a couple of days ago that I thought he might be gone within the next 3 or 4 years. But that's not going to happen, because they'd be on the hook for a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Now, he's one of the 5 highest paid coaches, and I saw that the new agreement does have a buyout of $10 million through basically next January, the end of next January, and then it decreases by $2 million each of the next 2 years. But
still,
I don't know. It seems pretty rich for a guy who I think is still teetering there. Because there was obviously even talk about him, maybe going someplace else there for, like the Penn State job was discussed with him. I don't know. I'm really shocked that they invested that kind of money in him.
Not something I would have done. Not yet. You got to prove yourself a little more at this point. But you know what, Sean? He had a first-round draft pick at quarterback, so that's all him.
Yeah.
Which
Whether or not you agree with that is
that's a whole other conversation. I was being a little sarcastic on that one, but
yeah. Going back to the blue gold game, Stymie said the biggest interest he has is made field goals and extra points.
you don't have to worry about that. I really, regardless of what he shows on Saturday, which I'm not worried about, but like he's going to be just fine. Spencer Porras, good kicker. They finally got that figured out. And the best part is they got it figured out, and only because he wanted to switch schools academically and didn't even reach out to the football team until they realized he got in as a student, which I think is hilarious. That whole story just absolutely cracks me up. That's how they got this really good kicker on their roster.
I mean, that is the story, but
that, admissions is like, hey, by the way, this kid just applied and got accepted.
Right.
Like,
hey, there's this guy who's been kicking.
just
Ever seen this name before? I don't know.
Cracks me up, man. If that's how it went down, man, I don't know.
The scoring for the blue gold game, fairly traditional on the offensive side, though. You get 2 points for a play over 20 yards on the offensive side, 12 points for a defensive score, which I find like you can swing it pretty easily with that.
Man, that's a big number. And then
it's pretty weighted toward the defense.
It is. And it also says at the very beginning, head coach has final say on scoring. So
exactly.
I wonder if it's getting lopsided, if he's going to be like, oh, no, by the way, that one was worth 15.
Now defensive scores are worth, 20 points. All right, we've got the call of the blue gold game. 2:00 tomorrow. We'll be on the air at 1:30. Vince, Jesse, and I will be out there at Notre Dame Stadium. Sunny 101.5 FM, the Sunny 101.5 app, Sirius XM, channels 381 and 971. Vince, I will see you tomorrow. Everybody else, have a great weekend. We will talk to you on Monday. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.